Hello everybody, it's Wes from Wes's Wares and TBI on Facebook, Wes McLean on YouTube, and I just wanted to come on here. I had a term the other day. I was listening to a podcast from a guy I've been recently following who it makes a lot of sense to me. I resonate with the guy pretty good on a lot of his thoughts and theories on our history versus a lot of what we have been told. But that's not the point. The point is that he was talking to a guy 19 keys high level in this podcast. It's from like about a year and a half ago from today, and we're in 2024, and it was in 2023, maybe 2022, that he did this talk with the 19 keys from high level. And Billy, I didn't realize that he has a brain injury, but he has a brain injury. He was ejected from a car. Well, which is similar to myself. And in my accident, with the dump truck, giving me severe DAI TBI with PTSD and seizures and chronic pain and a whole bunch of other things. Well, he was talking about his time where he was getting a bunch of brain scans after his accident, and the doctor's going over some of the stuff, and he's like, you see this pattern is very common to a trauma, right? And and I've seen that about myself and my scans, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get that, yeah. Because most people, they develop a PTSD off of their trauma. He says, but I developed PTSG, and I'm like, PTSG? What the heck is PTSG? I never heard of it. And he said, post-traumatic growth syndrome. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense, because like for a great number of years, probably like 5 to 7, I was very stuck in the PTSD, victim mentality, poor me, everybody's out to get me, the world hates me, the world's just trying to screw me over every opportunity. And because that was where I thought, that was my thought process, that's exactly the way the world met me, and I interacted with the world in that manner, which is not a very good way to interact with the world for a person that is dealing with all those health issues. And so before I heard the term from Billy, I was already made that shift, because in about the year 5 to 7, I made a shift. I was visiting with some friends. So the guy I was in the accident with, Craig, and a mutual friend of ours, Dana, that I was going to build a hot rod for, and we were in my shop, and they were cleaning up a bunch of mess that a bad contractor had left behind, because I had experienced a lot of that. And Dana's like, you just like to yell at people. And I'm like, no, I don't. I talk really loud because I'm trying to stay in the conversation, because the back wall of my shop's not insulated. The place was built in 1950, and they didn't use and believe in insulation back then. All the rest of the walls have been replaced, but that one wall. And so you get a lot of sound from the highway, which is a property away from me, is the highway. There's a vacant lot beside me, and it's the highway. And then there's a gas station, and everybody pulling out of that gas station likes to wind on it when they come out and do burnouts and stuff. And I would have a seizure off of stuff like that, or a plane flying over, or a helicopter, or sirens, or somebody playing with their keys, all kinds of things. I would have a seizure off of, like, the smallest, something unpredictable and sudden noise that I wasn't prepared for, and I would have a seizure. I didn't have grand malls. I mostly had petite malls, which is like you freeze kind of thing, and it was very, very difficult to deal with, and I didn't really understand. I wasn't getting a lot of help or input from a lot of doctors. They hooked me up to EEGs and EKGs and stuff like that, but I didn't have an event while I was hooked up. You don't have an event while you're hooked up, then you're just not going to show any data on their scans and their tests. It's just not going to show up, right? And that was much like myself and many other people I know from being in a multitude of different brain injury groups. Well, But I made that shift on that day with Dana and saying that you just like to yell at people. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just trying to stay in the conversation. And I was like, I used to be, I feel like I was on top of the world, you know, running my shop, going all over the place, all over North America, showing cars and trucks and stuff that I had built, and stuff in magazines and whatnot. And, you know, and I want to be there again. But my life is kind of messed up. But I want to be there again, and I know I can be there again. So I'm doing what I can to try to make it so I can get there. And I've continued to do that since then. And it was kind of a flip. It was a switch for me, if you will, that I went into the positive post-traumatic growth syndrome side of PTSD. And I keep continuing to get better and better and better. You know, like I can drive again. I haven't had a seizure coming this October. We're in August right now of 2024. But the end of October, you know, end of November, I'll be 6 years seizure free. You know, and I attribute a lot of that through my use of cannabis, but also breathing exercises, just exercises, period. You know, boosting mood levels and hormone levels to a more positive feeling within our whole body, and that really shines outward for us. You know, like I say, I can drive again now because of that, because you have to, in my area, you have to be at least 2 years seizure free. And so I got to there, my doctor signed off on the paperwork to allow me to did a driver's test with me, which is basically reading the eye chart below a certain line, which I did. But driving was still a real struggle for me, and right now I'm doing vision therapy, and that's improving some of those things, tightening up my double vision, which used to be kaleidoscope to quadruple to double vision. Sometimes I'd turn my head and I'd completely lose my vision. And so by doing the vision therapy, that's helping reduce some of that, as well as some of my daily 24/7 headaches, you know. As mindfulness practices and getting out in nature with my dog, who you might be able to hear in the background whining away because he's not sitting right here, because if he was sitting right here, he wants to play with his toys and he's chucking stuff around and smashing things to things because he's like a bull in a china shop, because he's a Corso Mastiff, and he's a really good dog, really good for me. And you don't get the dog you want, you get the dog you need, and I need a lot of that. He needs a lot of attention because he has health issues, so I have to help be a calmer me so I can help him be a calmer him. And you know, so PTSD over PTSD, it is a choice, and you get to choose. You get to choose every day you get up whether you want to be in hell, or if you want to focus on some gratitude, that, you know, there's this little thing in my life that makes my life better, like my dog. You know, I have a roof over my head. I have good food in my belly. You know, all these little things. And the more you see one thing of something that you can attach to and have gratitude for and be thankful for, then all of a sudden you'll start to see a lot more of those things. But you gotta look for it. Write it down. Write it down somewhere where you're going to see it. I had it written on the wall over there, so that anytime anybody came in the door, because I needed some drywall work done, so I just drew with a pencil on the drywall, because it was going to get painted over and mudded up and everything, right? So you weren't going to see it, so it didn't really matter. But it mattered in helping me get to where I am today. I am not saying that I am on the highest level. I got lots of levels that I can still go up, but I am currently at a much higher level than I was shortly in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years after my MBA. You know, I don't feel I'm anywhere near the level I was before my accident, but like, I don't have to be that. I can be better today than I was yesterday, and that's the only person that I'm in competition with, is myself. And you know, if you have a setback, you have a bad moment, you have a bad day, you have a bad week, don't beat yourself over it too much, man, because that's just one little part of your journey, and it doesn't define everything about you. So, you know, put that behind you. If you feel it, accept it, feel it, but try to remain neutral to it. I know that's something that I struggle with still today, but I keep working on it, and it keeps getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better each day, each week, each month, each year. You know, so when you get up, what are you doing? You're thankful that you got up, that you are alive, and you have a chance to do it all over again and change and in a positive way for the better for yourself. You know, like, nothing is permanent. Whether it's you know, nothing is permanent. It's just, it's not. You know, the weather isn't permanent. It's not always sunny, but it's not always raining either. It's not always snowing. It's not always windy. It's not always thunder and lightning. You know, there's the good with the bad. You have to take the good, the bad with the good. You know, the yin and the yang of it all. You know, you look at the symbol and you got white, a big chunk of white, with a little bit of black in it. You got a big chunk of black, a little bit of white in it, because you can't have one without the other. And if you can see that and you can accept that, your trauma isn't going to live and control your life for you. You will. And that's huge. And, you know, and I believe in you. I believe in myself, and I know I can be better. I know I can be better. And each time I go out and I do some vision therapy, or I take my dog out, or do anything, get on my bike, go for a bike ride, you know, whatever. Anything I do, I get in the car, every time it's like I can be better today than I was yesterday. And I am. You know, and so I know that if I can do it, coming from where I came from, you can too. So, healing vibes, warriors.